안녕하세요. In this video, we are going to learn how to construct the passive voice sentence in Korean. We will first learn how to conjugate verb or adjective into the passive forms. Then, we will learn how to construct passive sentences in Korean. We have a sentence here, my dog beat Mia. It's in the active voice. If you want to change this sentence into the passive voice, you need to say, Mia was bitten by the dog. So these transitions involves two things. One is a different word order. Object in the active voice became the subject in the passive voice, and the subject in the active voice, my dog, is placed at the end of the sentence following the preposition by. So it involves a different word order. Then it also involves a passive form. The bit became bitten. So how do we construct passive forms in Korean? You need to use four infixes. For example, 보다, to see, becomes the passive form 보이다 by adding 이 before the sentence ender. 막다, to block, becomes 막히다 by adding 히. 열다 becomes 열리다 by adding 리. 앉다, to hold, becomes to be held, 안기다 by adding 기. The question is, how do we know which one to use for which word? It's actually random. So there's no rule involving this conjugation to the passive forms. So you just need to learn and remember. Now, let's actually try to construct the passive sentence. Here, 물다 is to bite. The object in the active voice became the subject, and the subject in the active voice is placed after the subject with the postposition 한테. So here is like by in English. Then the verb becomes the passive form. 물어요 became 물려요. So 물리다, and you drop 다, so 물리다 is the passive form, but you need to conjugate this into the polite ending 어요 and 아요, right? So you drop 다, then put 어요, so it becomes 물려요. Let's do one more example. 닫다. 닫다 means to close. So 바람이 문을 닫아요. The wind closes the door. Sounds a little awkward in English, but let's not focus on that since we're just learning the passive voice constructions. The passive form of 닫다, to close, is 닫히다. The object in the active voice becomes the subject. Then subject in the active voice follows the subject in the passive voice. Then the passive form of the verb is used. 닫혀요. 문이 바람에 닫혀요. You might be wondering, how come here 에 is used, not 한테? Well, 한테 is for animated nouns, and 에 is for inanimated nouns. Okay, let's look at more example. 신호등을 봐요. So 보다 is the active form. The passive form of 보다 is 보이다. So 신호등이 보여요. In English, we usually say this using the active voice. Something like, can you see the traffic light? But in Korean people use the passive voice in the same situations. So they actually prefer the passive voice. Therefore, they will say something like, is the traffic light being visible? Or is the traffic light seen? Okay, moving on. 잡다, to catch. 경찰이 도둑을 잡았어요. The police caught a thief. 도둑을 잡았어요. Right? So 잡다 is the active voice. The passive voice, the passive form of that verb 잡다 is 잡히다. 도둑, the object becomes the subject. So 도둑이 경찰한테 by. Again, 한테 is used because 경찰 is an animated noun. 잡혔어요. Right? 잡혔어요. The passive form infix is used along with the past tense. 잡혔어요. 듣다, to listen. 음악을 들어요. Someone listens to the music. 들리다 is the passive form of 듣다. 음악이 들려요. This means literally music is being heard. In English, we often translate, most of the time we translate as, oh, I can hear the music. However, as mentioned earlier, in this kind of situation, Korean people prefer the passive voice. So instead of saying, 음악을 들을 수 있어요, I can listen to music, they will say, 음악이 들려요. Oh, music is being heard. In a way, it kind of makes sense because if you say, I can listen to music, you're talking about your capability of being able to listen. Here, 음악이 들려요 is you're not really trying to listen to the music, you are just hearing the music. So, in a way, it kind of makes sense to use the passive voice. And this is why in English, this sentence will be translated as, I can hear the music. Hear, not listen. But in the first sentence, in English, you will translate this sentence as, I listen to music, not I hear the music. Okay, let's move on to the next example. 안다, to hug. 엄마가 아기를 안아요. The mom hugs the baby. 안기다 is to be hugged. 아기가 엄마한테 안겨요. Again, this is a 기 plus 어요. So it becomes 겨, 안겨요. Let's do some translation. 고양이가 개한테 쫓겨요. So when you see this word 쫓겨요, you need to be able to recognize this as the passive form of the verb 쫓다, to chase. So the cat is being chased by the dog. 지난주에는 우산이 잘 팔렸어요. 팔렸어요. 팔다, to sell. The passive form is 팔리다. So in last week, umbrella was sold well. 우산 cannot sell itself. So even if you don't recognize this verb as the passive form, you can sort of figure out if you're trying to think about what the sentence is trying to say. Next sentence. 지금 소리가 잘 안 들려요. Now, sound cannot be really heard well. So in English, I will translate this sentence. I will translate that sentence as, oh, I can really hear the sound. Again, Korean people prefer the passive voice, but American prefers active voice. 길이 너무 막혀요. The road is being blocked, congested. Don't use 막아요. Don't use the active form. If you do that, you are saying that the road is blocking something else, which doesn't really make sense. Okay, next. 바람 때문에 문이 닫혔어요. Because of wind, the door was closed. The passive form. 어제 그 옷은 팔렸어요. Yesterday, that cloth was sold. 그 옷은 팔렸어요. Again, in this kind of situation, in English, we'll say something like someone bought that clothes. Right? But in Korean, this is actually okay. Next sentence. 고양이한테 물렸어요. By the cat, someone was bitten. Okay, that's it for this video. 예, 수고했어요. 다음 시간에 봐요.